stations present Orson Welles in the Mercury Theater, On the Air in the War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Ladies and gentlemen, the director of the Mercury Theater and star of these broadcasts, Orson Welles.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's, and yet as mortal as his own. We know now that as human beings busied themselves about their various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope might scrutinize the transient creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in their assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space. Yet across an immense ethereal gulf, minds that to our minds are as ours to the beasts in the jungle, intellects vast, cool, and unsympathetic, regarded this earth with envious eyes and slowly and surely drew their sights against us.
For the next 24 hours, not much change in temperature. A slight atmospheric disturbance of undetermined origin is reported over Nova Scotia, causing a low-pressure area to move down rather rapidly over the northeastern states, bringing a forecast of rain accompanied by winds of light gale force. Maximum temperature, 66. Minimum, 48. This weather report comes to you from the Government Weather Bureau. We now take you to the Meridian Room in the Hotel Park Plaza in downtown New York, where you'll be entertained by a scene about what happens to a classroom when the teacher goes missing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From the Meridian Room in Park Plaza, New York City, we bring you the entertaining scene entitled Missing Teacher.
How about the hockey game last night?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Never been crazy about the Leafs.
How long are we supposed to wait?
Would you just be quiet and read or something?
Yeah, that's gonna happen with this group.
I think we just not here in 5 minutes. We got a free period.
You would.
You guys better be quiet. We're gonna get in trouble when she comes in.
If she comes in.
Maybe she's dead somewhere.
Don't be ridiculous.
It could happen. People die all the time.
It's true. No, really. Suppose she fell and hit her head in the bathroom or something.
Tina, mini reality check. She'll be here. She just got caught up on the phone.
I know it says something in the handbook that the teachers can classify at a certain time.
What, you go crazy and hang from the lights?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds like regular class to me.
I can tell you guys, sit down and be quiet, or we're all going to get in trouble.
Anybody have any food?
If you get food up, you're really gonna get in trouble.
I'm bored.
You're always bored. I think we should just go ahead and read the next chapter while we're waiting.
You know, Robin? You sure know how to ruin a good time.
Yeah, but at least pretend she's not gonna be here when we get our free period.
Or you could read and actually use your time for something productive.
Hey, I have a wonderful idea. Why don't you go ahead and read? And we play hanging on the board, and you can tell us what happens, so we don't have to read it.
That's cheating.
No. I think it's called cooperative learning. We're learning together, you know?
Except we do all the work.
Exactly.
Ugh, I'm bored.
You know what? I think one of us should go to Miss Taylor's office and just tell the teachers in here.
No!
What? Are you crazy?
Yeah, why would we do that?
I just know we're gonna get in trouble.
Listen, I think I can hear her coming. Dang it, our fun episode ruined.
Gonna get in trouble anyways. We're not doing anything.
I did something. I read.
Oh, please. You just yelled at us the entire time.
Be quiet, guys. Back in position. At least pretend to be good until she figures it out.
Yeah, good idea. That should work.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, Professor Farrell of the Mount Jennings Observatory, Chicago, Illinois, reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The spectroscope indicates the gas to be hydrogen and moving towards the Earth with enormous velocity. Professor Pearson of the Observatory of Princeton confirms Farrell's observation and describes the phenomenon as, quote, like a jet of blue flame shot from a gun, unquote. We now return you to the entertainment of drama from the Meridian Room of the Park Plaza Hotel situated in downtown New York.
Welcome back to the Meridian Room of the Park Plaza Hotel, situated in downtown New York. Now, let's see what three boys can get up to while trying to do an assignment.
Guys, we're never gonna get this thing done.
It's stupid. I don't care if we never get it done. I'm not doing it.
Do you ever notice how Bradley can melt and he laughs? He knows.
No, I never noticed. Why aren't you working on this project?
Because it's stupid and we don't want to do it.
I don't think that's one of the options Mrs. Davis gave us, Quincy.
Should have been choice D. Don't do any project related on the Civil War. Go home, play video games for 4 hours, then report your scores to class tomorrow. Now that's a project I could get into.
Do we have a half day Friday?
Can we at least read what we have so far?
Do we have a half day Friday?
You know that I have?
I give up. She could put me with Shannon or Mike, but no, I get stuck with Dumb and Dumber here.
Yeah, but which one's dumber? You are!
Murder still against the law in this state?
Oh man, I love that movie. Jim Carrey's so weird.
Have you seen the sequel? Wasn't as funny, but Jim Carrey's in it, so obviously gonna be funny.
Dear Diary, today I killed 2 of my classmates and I will now spend the rest of my years in prison.
You know, guys, we really should stop going around and get to work on this.
There we go. Quit goofing off and get down to work.
Mom!
Ladies and gentlemen, following on the news in our bulletin a moment ago, the Government Meteorological Bureau has requested the large observatories in the country to keep an astronomical watch on any further disturbances occurring on the planet Mars. Due to the unusual nature of this occurrence, we have arranged an interview with noted astronomer Professor Pearson, who will give us his views on the event. In a few moments, we will take you to the Princeton Observatory at Princeton, New Jersey. We return you now to the Meridian Room of the Park Plaza Hotel, situated in downtown New York.
Welcome back to the Meridian Room at the Park Plaza Hotel. We bring you a powerful monologue by actress Caitlin Aegis.
Don't you dare walk away from me. And don't tell me you're sorry. Don't tell me to forget it, and don't you dare tell me to let it go. God knows I'd like to. I wish I could, but I can't. I can't forget that we had something, and you're running away. You're running away. Don't you see, Mark? You're running from what I searched for all my life. Why? Because you're scared? Well, I'm scared too. But you and I, we have something worth fighting for. We can make it work. I'm not saying it would be easy, but I care about you. And I know, deep down under this bravado, that you care about me. And that's what it's all about, Mark. Don't you get it? It's the human experience. You can pretend all you want, but you're only lying to yourself. You are denying the simple and wonderful fact that you are emotional and vulnerable and alive. Can you honestly stand there and tell me that I mean nothing to you? That everything that happened that night was a lie? That you feel nothing? I feel sorry for you, Mark. I'll move on. I'll find someone else. I'll be all right because I know that I tried. That I did everything that I could. And someday, you will look back and you will realize what you threw away. And you will regret it. Always.
We are now ready to take you to the Princeton Observatory at Princeton, where Carl Phillips, our commentator, will interview Professor Richard Pearson, famous astronomer. We take you now to Princeton, New Jersey.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Phillips speaking to you from the observatory at Princeton. I am standing in a large semicircular room, pitch black except for an oblong split in the ceiling. Through this opening, I can see a sprinkling of stars that cast a kind of frosty glow over the intricate mechanism of the huge telescope. Professor Pearson stands directly above me on a small platform, peering through a giant lens. I ask you to be patient, ladies and gentlemen, during any delay that may arise during our interview. Besides his ceaseless watch of the heavens, Professor Pearson may be interrupted by telephone or other communications. During this period, he is in constant touch with the astronomical centers of the world. Professor, may I begin our questions?
At any time, Mr. Phillips.
Professor, would you please tell our radio audience exactly what you see as you observe the planet Mars through your telescope?
Nothing unusual at the moment, Mr. Phillips. A red disk swimming in a blue sea. Traverse stripes across the disk. Quite distinct now, because Mars happens to be the point nearest the Earth, in opposition, as we call it.
In your opinion, what do these transverse stripes signify, Professor Pearson?
Not canals, I can assure you, Mr. Phillips. Though the popular conjecture of those who imagine Mars to be inhabited, from a scientific viewpoint, the stripes are merely the result of atmospheric conditions peculiar to the planet.
Right. Then you're quite convinced as a scientist that living intelligence as we know it does not exist on Mars?
I'd say the chances against it are 1,000 to 1.
And yet, how do you account for those gas eruptions occurring on the surface of the planet at regular intervals?
Mr. Phillips, I cannot account for it.
By the way, Professor, for the benefit of our listeners, how far is Mars from Earth?
Approximately 40 million miles.
Well, that seems like a safe enough distance. Now, just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Someone has just handed Professor Pearson a message. While he reads it, let me remind you that we are speaking to you from the observatory in Princeton, New Jersey, where we are interviewing the world-famous astronomer, Professor Pearson. One moment, please. Professor Pearson has just passed me a message which he has just received. Professor, may I read the message to our listeners?
Certainly, Mr. Phillips.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall read you the wire addressed to Professor Pearson from Dr. Gray of the National History Museum. New York, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Seismograph registered shock of almost earthquake intensity occurring within a radius of 20 miles of Princeton. Please investigate. Signed, Lloyd Gray, Chief of Astronomical Division. Professor Pearson, could this occurrence possibly have something to do with the disturbances observed on the planet Mars?
Hardly, Mr. Phillips. It is probably a meteorite of unusual size, and its arrival at this peculiar time is merely a coincidence. However, we shall conduct a search as soon as daylight permits.
Thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 10 minutes, we've been speaking to you from the observatory at Princeton, bringing you a special interview with Professor Pearson, noted astronomer. This is Carl Phillips speaking. We are returning you now to our New York studio.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News, Toronto, Canada. Professor Moores of McGill University reports observing a total of 3 explosions on the planet Mars between the hours of 7:45 p.m. and 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This confirms earlier reports received from American observatories. Now, nearer home, comes a special announcement from Trenton, New Jersey. It is reported that at 8:50 p.m., a huge flaming object believed to be a meteorite fell on a farm in the neighborhood of Grover's Mill, New Jersey, 22 miles from Trenton. The flash in the sky was visible within a radius of several hundred miles, and the noise of the impact was heard as far north as Elizabeth. We have dispatched a special mobile unit to the scene, and we'll have our commentator, Carl Phillips, give you a word description as soon as he can reach there from Princeton. In the meantime, we take you to the Hotel Marinette in Brooklyn, where Connor Reed will entertain us with a monologue from Bel Air.
You know what, Uncle Phil? This works out better for me anyway, you know? At least say goodbye this time. I just was going to waste my money buying that stupid present first. You know what? You ain't got nothing, Uncle Phil, you know? Ain't like I'm still 5 years old, you know? Ain't like I'm going to be sitting up every night asking my mom, when's Daddy coming home, you know? Who needs him? Wasn't there to teach me how to shoot my first basket, was he? But I learned, didn't I? I got pretty dang good at it too, didn't I, Uncle Phil? Got through my first date without him, right? I learned how to drive, I learned how to shave, I learned how to fight without him. I had 14 great birthdays without him. He never even sent me a card. Down with him! Now, you know what? I knew him then, and I don't even now. Now, you know what? I'm going to get through college without him. I'm going to marry me a beautiful honey. I'm going to have me a whole bunch of kids. And I sure as hell don't for that. For the damn thing he could ever teach me about how to love my kids. How come he don't want me, man?
We are now ready, ladies and gentlemen, to take you now to Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Carl Phillips again at the Wilmouth Farm in Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Professor Pearson and myself made the 11 miles from Princeton in 10 minutes. And well, I hardly know where to begin. To paint for you a word picture of the strange scene before my eyes, like something out of the modern Arabian Nights. Well, I just got here, and I haven't had a chance to look around yet. I guess that's it. Yes, I guess that's the thing directly in front of me, half buried in a vast pit, must have struck with terrific force. The ground is covered with splinters of a tree. It must have struck on its way down. What I can see of the object itself doesn't look very much like a meteor at all. At least not the meteors I've seen. It looks more like a huge cylinder, and it has a diameter of, well, what would you say, Professor Pearson? What would you say is the diameter?
Oh, about 30 yards.
About 30 yards. The metal on the sheath is, well, I've never seen anything like it. The color is sort of yellowish white, and curious spectators are now pressing close to the object in spite of the efforts of the police to keep them back. Now they're getting in front of my line of vision. Would you mind standing to one side, please? Good. While the policemen are pushing the crowd back, here's Mr. Wilmoth, owner of the farm here. He may have some interesting facts to add. Mr. Wilmoth, would you please tell the radio audience as much as you remember of this rather unusual visitor that dropped in your backyard? Yeah, step closer to the mic, please, there. Yeah.
Well, I was listening to the radio.
Closer and louder, please.
Pardon me?
Louder to the microphone, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to the radio. I'm kind of drowsy, and that professor fellow was talking about Mars. So I was half dozing, half...
Yes, Mr. Wilmoth. Then what happened?
As I was saying, I was listening to the radio kind of halfway.
Yes, Mr. Wilmoth. And then you saw something.
Not first off, I heard something.
And what did you hear?
Hey, I heard a hissing sound. Like, kind of like a 4th of July rocket.
And then what?
Turned my head out the window and would have swore I was asleep and dreaming.
Yes?
I seen a kind of greenish streak, and then zingo! Something smacked the ground, knocking clear out of my chair.
Well, were you frightened, Mr. Wilmoth?
Well, I ain't quite sure. I reckon I was kind of riled.
Thank you, Mr. Wilmoth. Thank you.
Want me to tell you some more?
No. That's quite all right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard Mr. Wilmoth, owner of the farm where this thing has fallen. Now, I wish I could convey the atmosphere and the background of all this, but fantastic scene, and hundreds of cars are parked in a field in back of us. Police are trying to rope off the roadway leading to the farm, but it's no use. They're breaking right through. Cars' headlights throw an enormous spot on the pit where the object's half buried. Some of the more daring souls are now venturing near the edge. Their silhouettes stand out against the metal sheen. One man wants to touch the thing. He's having an argument with the policeman. The policeman wins. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's something I haven't mentioned in all this excitement, but now it's becoming more distinct. Perhaps you've caught it already on your radio. Here, listen. Do you hear it? It's a curious humming sound that seems to come from inside the object. I'll move the microphone nearer. Now we're not more than 25 feet away. Can you hear it now? Oh, Professor Pearson!
Yes, Mr. Phillips?
Can you tell us the meaning of that scraping noise inside the thing?
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I see. Now, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial, not found on this Earth. Friction with the Earth's atmosphere usually tears holes in the meteorite. This thing is smooth and, as you can see, a cylindrical shape.
Just a minute. Something's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, this is terrific. This end of the thing is beginning to flake off. The top is beginning to rotate like a screw. The thing must be hollow.
Look, she's moving. The darn thing's unscrewing.
Keep back there. Keep back there, tell you.
Maybe there's men in it trying to escape. It's red hot. We'll burn to a cinder.
She's off. The top's loose.
Get back there. Get these idiots back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most terrifying thing I've ever witnessed. Wait a minute. Someone's crawling out of the hollow top. Someone, or something, I can see peering out of the black hole. Two luminous discs. Are they eyes? It might be a face. It might be. Good heavens, something's wriggling out of the shadow like a gray snake. Now it's another one, and another. They look like tentacles to me. There I can see the thing's body. It's large as a bear. It glistens like the wet leather. But that face, it, ladies and gentlemen, it's indescribable. I can hardly force myself to keep looking at it. The eyes are black and gleam like a serpent. The mouth is V-shaped with saliva dripping from its rimless lips that seem to quiver and pulsate. The monster, or whatever it is, look, can hardly move. It seems weighed down by gravity or something. The thing's raising up. This is the most extraordinary experience. I can't find words. I'll put this microphone with me as I talk. I'll have to stop the description until I can take a new position. Hold on, will you please?
We are bringing you an eyewitness account of what's happening on the Wilmot Farm, Grover's Mill, New Jersey. We now return you to Carl Phillips at Grover's Mill.
Ladies and gentlemen, am I on? Ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, here I am, back of a stone wall that adjoins Mr. Wilmoth's garden. From here, I get a sweep of the whole scene. I'll give you every detail as long as I can talk, and as long as I can see. More state police have arrived. They're drawing up a cordon in front of the pit. About 30 of them. No need to push the crowd back now. They're willing to keep their distance. The captain is conferring with someone. We can't quite see who. Oh yeah, I believe it's Professor Pearson. Yes, it is. Now they've parted. The professor moves around one side. He's studying the object. While the captain and two policemen advance with something in their hands, I can see it now. It's a white handkerchief tied to a pole. A flag of truce. If those creatures know what that means, if they know what anything means, wait, something's happening! A hump shape is rising out of the pit. I can make out a small beam of light against the mirror. What's that? There's a jet of flame springing from the mirror, and it leaps right at the advancing men. It strikes them head on. Good Lord, they're turning into flame! Now the whole field's caught fire. The woods, the barns, the gas tanks of automobiles. Oh no, it's spreading everywhere. Oh, the humanity. It's coming this way, about 20 yards to my right.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the broadcast from Grover's Mill. Evidently, there's some difficulty with our field transmission. However, we will return to that point at the earliest opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been handed a message that came in from Grover's Mill by telephone. Just a moment. At least 40 people, including 6 state troopers, lie dead in a field east of the village of Grover's Mill. Their bodies burned and distorted beyond all possible recognition. The next voice you hear will be that of Brigadier General Montgomery Smith, commander of the state militia at Trenton, New Jersey.
I have been requested by the governor of New Jersey to place the counties of Mercer and Middlesex as far west as Princeton and east to Jamesburg. Under martial law, no one will be permitted to enter these areas except by a special pass issued by state or military authorities. 4 companies of state militia are proceeding from Trenton to Grover's Mill and will aid in the evacuation of homes within the range of military operations. Thank you.
You have just been listening to General Montgomery Smith, commanding the state militia at Trenton. In the meantime, further details of the catastrophe at Grover's Mill are available. The strange creatures, after unleashing their deadly assault, crawled back into their pit and made no attempt to prevail the efforts of the firemen to recover the bodies and extinguish the fire. Combined fire departments of Mercer Country are fighting the flames with which menace the entire countryside. We have been unable to establish any contact with our mobile unit at Grover's Mill, but we hope to be able to return you there at the earliest possible moment. In the meantime, we take you. Just one moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been informed that we have finally established communication with an eyewitness of the tragedy. Professor Pearson has been located at a farmhouse near Grover's Mill, where he has established an emergency observation post. As a scientist, he will give you his explanation of the calamity. The next voice you hear will be that of Professor Pearson, brought to you by direct wire. Professor Pearson.
Of the creatures in the rocket cylinder at Grover's Mill, I can give you no authoritative information, either as to their nature, their origin, or their purposes here on Earth. Of their destructive instrument, I might venture some conjectural explanation. For want of a better term, I shall refer to the mysterious weapon as a heat ray. It's all too evident that these creatures have scientific knowledge far in advance of our own. It is my guess that in some way they are able to generate an intense heat in a chamber of practically absolute non-conductivity. This intense heat they project in a parallel beam against any object they choose, by means of a polished parabolic mirror of unknown composition. Much of the mirror of a lighthouse projects a beam of light. That is my conjecture of the origin of the heat ray.
Thank you, Professor Pearson. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a bulletin from Trenton. It is a brief statement informing us that the charred body of Carl Phillips has been identified in a Trenton hospital. Now here's another bulletin from Washington, D.C. Office of the Director of the National Red Cross reports 10 units of Red Cross emergency workers have been assigned to the headquarters of the state militia station outside of Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Here's a bulletin from State Police, Princeton Junction. The fires at Grover's Mill and vicinity are now under control. Scouts report all quiet in the pit and no sign of life appearing from the mouth of the cylinder. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special statement from Mr. Harry McDonald, Vice President in charge of operations.
We have received a request from the militia at Trenton to place at their disposal our entire broadcasting facilities in view of the gravity of the situation, and believing that radio has a responsibility to serve in the public interest at all times. We are turning over to our facilities to the state militia at Trenton.
We take you now to the field headquarters of the state militia near Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
This is Captain Lansing of the Signal Corps, attached to the state militia now engaged in military operations in the vicinity of Grover's Mill. Situation arising from the reported presence of certain individuals of unidentified nature. Now under control. The cylindrical object, which lies in a pit directly below our position, is surrounded on all sides by 8 battalions of infantry, without heavy field pieces, but adequately armed with rifles and machine guns. All cause for alarm, if such cause ever existed, is now entirely unjustified. The things, whatever they are, do not even venture to poke their heads above the pit. I can see their hiding place plainly in the glare of the searchlights here. With all their reported resources, these creatures can scarcely stand up against heavy machine gun fire. Anyway, it's an interesting outing for the troops. I can make out their khaki uniforms crossing back and forth in front of the lights. It looks almost like a real war, where there appears to be lights and slight smoke in the woods bordering the Millstone River. Probably fire started by campers. Well, we ought to see some action soon. One of the companies is deploying on the left flank. A quick thrust and it will all be over. Now wait a minute. I see something on top of the cylinder. No, it's nothing but a shadow. Now the troops are on the edge of the Wilmouth Barn. 7,000 armed men closing in on an old metal tube. Wait, that wasn't a shadow. It's something moving, solid metal, kind of like a shield-like affair rising above the cylinder. It's going higher and higher. Why, it's standing on legs, actually rearing up on a sort of metal framework. Now it's reaching above the trees, and the searchlights are on it. Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, both the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes led to the unacceptable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading force from Mars. The battle which took place tonight at Grover's Mill has ended in one of the most startling defeats ever suffered by an army in modern times. The monster is now in control of the middle section of New Jersey and has effectively cut the state through its center. Communication lines are down from Pennsylvania to the Atlantic Ocean. Railroad tracks are torn and service from New York to Philadelphia discontinued, except routing some of the trains through Allentown and Phoenixville. Highways to the north, south, and west are clogged with frantic human traffic. Police and Army reserves are unable to control the mad flight. By morning, the fugitives will have swelled Philadelphia, Camden, and Trenton. It is now estimated to twice the normal population. At this time, martial law prevails throughout New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. We take you now to Washington for a special broadcast on the national emergency. The Secretary of the Interior.
Citizens of the nation, I shall not try to conceal the gravity of the situation that confronts the country, nor the concern of your government in protecting the lives and property of its people. However, I wish to impress upon you, private citizens and public officials, all of you, the urgent need of calm and resourceful action. Fortunately, this formidable enemy is still confined to a comparatively small area, and we may place our faith in the military forces to keep them there. In the meantime, placing our faith in God, we must continue the performance of our duties, each and every one of us, so that we may confront this destructive adversary with a nation united, courageous, and consecrated to the preservation of human supremacy on this earth. I thank you.
You have just heard the Secretary of the Interior speaking from Washington. Bulletins, too numerous to read, are piling up in the studio here. We are informed the central portion of New Jersey is blacked out from radio communication due to the effect of the heat ray upon power lines and electrical equipment. Here's a special bulletin from New York. Cables received from English, French, and German scientific bodies offering assistance. Astronomers report continued reports at regular intervals on the planet Mars. Majority voice opinion that enemy will be reinforced by additional rocket machines. Attempts made to locate Professor Pearson of Princeton, who has observed Martians at close range. It is feared he was lost in recent battle. Langham Field, Virginia. Scouting planes report 3 Martian machines visible above treetops, moving north toward Somerville with population fleeing ahead of them. E-ray not in use. Although advancing at express train speed, invaders pick their way carefully. They seem to be making conscious effort to avoid destruction of cities and countryside. However, they stop to uproot power lines, bridges, and railroad tracks. Their apparent objective is to crush resistance, paralyze communication, and disorganize human society. Here's a bulletin from Basking Ridge, New Jersey. Coon hunters have stumbled on a second cylinder similar to the first embedded in the Great Swamp 20 miles south of Morristown. Army field pieces are proceeding from Newark to blow up second invading unit before cylinder can be opened and the fighting machine rigged. They're taking up position in the foothills of Watchung Mountains. Bulletin from Winston Field, Long Island. Fleet of Army bombers carrying heavy explosives flying north in pursuit of enemy. Scouting planes act as guides. They keep speeding enemy in sight. Just a moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we've run special wires to the artillery line in the adjacent village to give you direct reports in the zone of advancing enemy. First, we take you to the battery of the 22nd Field Artillery, located in the Watchung Mountains.
Range, 33 meters.
32 meters.
Projection, 39 degrees.
39 degrees.
Fire.
140 yards to the right, sir.
Shift range, 31 meters.
31 meters.
Projection, 37 degrees.
37 degrees.
Fire.
Hey, sir, we hit the tripod of one of them. The other's trying to repair it.
Quick, get the range. Shift 30 meters.
30 meters.
Projection, 27 degrees.
27 degrees.
Fire.
Can't see the shell land, sir. They're laying off a smoke.
What is it?
A black smoke, sir. Moving this way, lying close to the ground.
Get ready to fire. Shift 24 meters.
24 meters.
Projection, 24 degrees.
24 degrees.
Fire.
Still can't see, sir. The smoke's coming nearer.
Get the range. 33 meters.
Projection, 22 degrees.
22 degrees.
Army Bombing Plane, V-843, off Bayonne, New Jersey. Lieutenant Boyd, commanding 8 bombers. Reporting to Commander Fairfax, Langham Field. This is Boyd, reporting to Commander Fairfax, Langham Field. Enemy tripod machines now in sight, reinforced by 3 machines from the Morristown cylinder. 6 altogether. 1 machine already crippled, believed hit by a shell from Army gun in the Watchung Mountains. Guns now appear silent, a heavy black fog hanging close to the earth, of extreme density. Nature, unknown. No sign of the heat ray. Enemy now turns east, crossing Passaic River into the Jersey Marsh. Another straddles the Pulaski Skyway. Evident objective is New York City. They're pushing down a high-tension power station. The machines are closer together now, and we're ready to attack. Planes circling, ready to strike. 1,000 yards and we'll be over the first. 800 yards. 600. 400. 200. There we go. Giant arm raised. Green flash. They're spraying us with flames. 2,000 feet. Engines are giving out. No chance to release bombs. Only one thing left. Drop on them, plane and all. We're diving on the first one now. The engine's gone. 8.
This is Bay, New Jersey, calling Langham Field. This is Bay, New Jersey, calling Langham Field. Come in, please.
This is Langham Field, go ahead.
8 Army bombers in engagement with enemy tripod machines over Jersey Flats. Engines incapacitated by heat ray, all crashed. 1 enemy machine destroyed. Enemy now discharging. Heavy black smoke in direction of.
This is Newark, New Jersey.
This is Newark, New Jersey. Warning, poisonous black smoke pouring in from Jersey marshes. Bridges South Street. Gas masks useless. Urge population to move into open spaces. Automobiles use routes 7, 23, and 24. Avoid congested areas. Smoke now spreading over Raymond Boulevard.
2X2L calling CQ. 2X2L calling CQ. 2X2L calling 8X3R. Come in, please.
This is 8X3R, coming back at 2X2L.
House reception. House reception. Kate, please. Where are you? 8X3R. What's the matter? Where are you?
I'm speaking from the roof of the broadcasting building, New York City. The bells you hear are ringing to warn the people to evacuate the city as the Martians approach. Estimated in the last 2 hours, 3 million people have moved out along the roads to the north, Hutchinson River Parkway, still kept open for motor traffic. Avoid bridges to Long Island, hopelessly jammed. All communication with Jersey Shore closed 10 minutes ago. No more defenses, our army wiped out. Artillery, Air Force, everything wiped out. This may be the last broadcast. We'll stay here to the end. Now I look down the harbor, all manner of boats overloaded with fleeing population pulling out from docks. Streets are all jammed. Now the first machine reaches the shore. He stands watching, looking over the city. His steel, cowlish head is even with the skyscrapers. He waits for the others. They rise like a line of new towers on the city's west side. Now they're lifting their metal hands. This is the end now. Smoke comes out. Black smoke drifting over the city. People in the streets see it now. They're running towards the East River. Thousands of them dropping in like rats. Now the smoke's spreading faster. It's reached Times Square. People try to run away from it, but it's no use. They're falling like flies. Now the smoke's crossing 6th Avenue, 5th Avenue, 100 yards away. It's 50 feet.
2X2L calling CQ. 2X2L calling CQ. 2X2L calling CQ. New York. Isn't there anyone on the air? Isn't there anyone on the air? Isn't there anyone?
As I set these notes down on paper, I'm obsessed by the thought that I may be the last living man on Earth. I've been hiding in this empty house near Grover's Mill, a small island of daylight cut off by the black smoke of the rest of the world. All that happened before the arrival of these monstrous creatures in the world now seems like another part of life. I look down at my blackened hands, my torn shoes, my tattered clothes, and I try to connect them with the professor who lived at Princeton, and who on the night of October 30th glimpsed through his telescope an orange splash of light on a distant planet. In writing down my daily life, I tell myself I shall preserve human history between the dark covers of this little book that was meant to record the movement of the stars. I keep watch at the window from time to time. I catch sight of a Martian above the black smoke. The black smoke still holds the house in its black coil, but at length there is a hissing sound, and I suddenly see a Martian mounted on his machine, spraying the air with his jet of steam. As if to dissipate the smoke, I watch it in the corner as his huge metal legs nearly brush against the house. Exhausted by terror, I fall asleep. It's morning. Morning! Sun streams in the window. The black cloud of gas has lifted, and the scorched meadows to the north look as though a black snowstorm has passed over them. I venture from my house. I make my way to a road. No traffic. Here and there, a wrecked car, baggage overturned, a blackened skeleton. I push on more. For some reason, I feel safer trailing these monsters than running away from them. And I keep a careful watch. I have seen the Martians feed.
Should one of their machines appear over the tops of trees, I am ready to fling myself flat on the earth. 2 days I wander in a vague northerly direction through a desolate world. I continue to push on north. The next day, I came to a city vaguely familiar, to the Holland Tunnel. I entered that silent tube, anxious to know the fate of the great city on the other side of the Hudson. Curiously, I came out of the tunnel and made my way up Canal Street. I reached 14th Street, and there again were black powder and several bodies. An evil, ominous smell from the gratings of the cellars of some of the houses. I wandered up through the 30s and 40s. I stood alone on Times Square. I caught sight of a lean dog running down 7th Avenue with a piece of dark brown meat in his jaws and a pack of starving mongrels at his heels. He made a wide circle around me. Though he feared I might prove a fresh competitor. I walked up Broadway in the direction of that strange powder, and through shop windows displaying their mute wares and empty sidewalks, I passed the Capitol Theater, silent and dark. From over the top of the General Motors building, I watched a flock of blackbirds circling in the sky. I hurried on. Suddenly, I caught sight of the hood of a Martian machine, standing somewhere in Central Park. Gleaming in the late afternoon sun, an insane idea, I rushed recklessly across the Columbus Circle and into the park. I climbed a small hill, and suddenly my eyes were attached to the immense flock of blackbirds that hovered directly above me. They circled to the ground, and then there before my eyes, stark and silent, lay the Martians, with the hungry birds pecking and tearing the brown flesh from their dead bodies. Later, there were bodies examined in the laboratories. It was found that they were killed by putrefactive and disease bacteria against which their systems were unprepared. They were slain. After all men's defenses had failed, by the humblest thing that God in his wisdom put upon this earth. Strange now seems to sit in my peaceful study at Princeton once again, writing down this last chapter and record begun at the deserted farm in Grover's Mill. Strange to see from my window the university sprites dim and blue through the April haze. Strange to watch children playing in the streets. Strange to see young people strolling on the green, where the new spring grass heals its last black scars in bruised earth. Strange to watch the sightseers enter the museum where the disassembled parts of a Martian machine are kept on public view. Strange where I can recall the time when I first saw it, bright and clean-cut, hard and silent, under the dawn of the last great day.
This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen, out of character to assure you that The War of the Worlds has no further significance than as the thrilling offering it was intended to be. The Mercury Theater's own radio version of dressing up in a sheet and jumping out of a bush and saying, boo. We annihilated the world before your very ears and utterly destroyed the CBS. You will be relieved, I hope, to learn that we didn't mean it and that both institutions are still open for business. So goodbye, everybody, and remember the terrible lesson you learned tonight.
Tonight, the GSS class thanks you for joining us this evening. We hope you enjoyed our evening of dramatic performances, but we have one more monologue to finish off the night.
Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept that we had to sacrifice an entire Saturday of our time in detention for whatever it was we did wrong. We think you're crazy to make an essay telling you who we think we are. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms, in the most convenient definitions. But we know now that every one of us is a brain.
And an athlete.
And a basket case.
And a princess.
And a criminal.
Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, the Drama Club.